channel. So my name is Shan. If you don't know me, I'm from Home with Shan over on Instagram, and today I'm going to be talking about how I like to save my money, and where I put it and how I try to invest it and all that kind of good stuff. So at the moment I'm saving up for a few big things that are going to be happening. So I want to get a new car, for example. We're going to be moving house at some point this year. So there are a few things that I am saving for. But I still want to be able to have fun and enjoy my life whilst I'm saving. So basically, here are my tips, I guess, as to how to save without really noticing not having that money, if that makes sense. So yeah, and if you are interested, also I spoke about sort of the importance of saving and knowing what your income is if you're actually trying to buy a house. I'll link the video here if you're interested in watching it. It's all about how to buy a house in the UK, the house buying process, but it all starts with savings. This is more of an in-depth video about actually saving your money, but still enjoying life whilst you're doing it. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is a spreadsheet. So I mentioned this again in the video that I spoke about earlier about how to buy a house in the UK, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail here about this spreadsheet. So I've actually downloaded the spreadsheet from Patricia Bright's new YouTube channel, The Break. I'll link it down in the description box below. I did actually have to pay for that spreadsheet, but it's so worth it. Oh my god, it is so good. It was £1.99, I believe, and it literally has sorted me out. It's sorted me out for the whole year. Basically, it's got columns for your income and then columns for your outgoings, and then also columns for how much you want to be saving each month, where you're putting the savings, what your short-term and long-term goals are. It is so good. Set out exactly how much you earn, be honest with what your outgoings are, so how much you spend on petrol, how much you spend on food shopping, how much you spend on alcohol, how much you spend on any memberships, subscriptions, food, everything, going out, socialising, all of those kind of things. I always like to put a budget of £50 to £100 for socialising, because yeah, I do that every month and I'm going to budget for it. And then after you've put every single one of your outgoings, including your savings, whether that's £100 or whether that's £500, into these different places, wherever you want to put them, whether that's your savings account or your stocks and shares ISA, then at least you know right at the end all of your outgoings, what you've got left over. You can do whatever you want with that. You can go and buy something for your house. You can go and buy your clothes, extra clothes. You can go and buy some nice makeup. You can go out for a really fancy meal. You can do whatever you want with that money, or you can reinvest it in yourself. If you wanted to download the same spreadsheet that I've got for my savings, I can link where you can purchase it in the description box below. But if you also wanted something that was free, Google Sheets actually has loads of budgeting tools on there, and if you don't know what Google Sheets is, it's an extension of Google, obviously, and it's basically like Excel but free, and it's online and it's run by Google. That's basically the best way to describe it. And I don't actually have Excel or Word or any of the Microsoft sort of. Google Sheets is really good, and like I said, they've got loads of templates with budgeting, and I found them really helpful in the past. So yeah, definitely get a spreadsheet and you'll get golden. So the next thing to do is set up your savings accounts. So I like to have 2 separate savings accounts and then also a stocks and shares ISA. I'll go into the stocks and shares ISA a little bit more in detail a little bit further along in this video, but I like to bank with the same bank as I do with my current account. That way I can have a direct debit set up to go into my savings account every month, and I don't even have that money to spend in the first place. It goes straight away into my savings and I don't even see it. However, I can see it on my banking app that I use all the time, and the banking app that I use is Santander because that's who I bank with. I absolutely love them. They have been my bank since I was 13, the only bank I've ever banked with, and I just think they're brilliant. The savings account that I have is 2.5% interest, which is really good for a savings account. The only thing is, to get the 2.5%, you have to put £200 into the savings account every month and not withdraw any money, and then after 12 months you get 2.5% return. But then that's just an extra barrier to you to not withdraw that money, and the sort of incentive to just keep on going and not withdraw any money. If you can't afford to save that £200 a month, because not everyone can, then simple enough, just get another saving account somewhere else where you don't have to put that much money away, or you can withdraw from if you want to. So the second bank account that I have with Santander is actually something that I dip into on and off throughout the month if I need to. And the savings account isn't just for saving, I also use it to buy things, bigger purchases that aren't things that I buy every month. So for example, this month I actually bought a MacBook Pro. Well, I traded in my old MacBook Air, and then I actually bought a MacBook Pro that cost me about £250 on top of the trade-off, basically. So I sold my AirBook to them for about £250, £300, and then they only asked for £250 for the new MacBook. So yeah, that is a really good tip actually. Buy secondhand, because a lot of secondhand things are perfectly good and you save so much money on it. But yeah, getting back to the savings account, I dip into that, so I dipped in and I took £250 out. But that is what my savings are for, big purchases like a laptop. Things I don't use that savings account for, I don't use it for takeaways, I don't use it to go out, I don't use it to do my weekly shop, I don't use it for things that I do every month. All I use it for is big purchases. And then what I also do is actually, I have an app called Moneybox, and I love this app. But I have the stocks and shares ISA version, so there are lots of different ones you can use with Moneybox, but I've got the stocks and shares ISA one. What I've set it up to do is take out £50 on payday. So £50 on payday to me isn't a lot, so I get paid monthly. £50 on payday, so I don't even see that money. It goes straight into this stocks and shares ISA, and then £50, and that gets invested wherever they decide to invest it. And then each week it also takes out an extra £5, and £5 a week is nothing. People pay that for like food, coffee and whatever, things like that. So I decided to invest that into stocks and shares as well. So in total £70 comes out of my account each month. Now what you can also do, I don't actually have this set up at the moment, but what you can actually do is have it round up your purchases as well. So for example, if you purchase something from the shop for £1.95, the extra 5p that would have made £2, actually it gets taken out of your account and then invested into some of the stocks and shares as well. So I did have that set up. I took it off because I wanted to know exactly how much money was coming out of my account each month, because I was being really strict with myself. And obviously it depends on what you buy, depends on how much gets rounded up, and sometimes you don't know how much is going to be taken out. So I would just err on the side of caution with that. If you've got a lot of spare money, then you know what, get it invested. But if you don't, then, and you want to keep those pennies, then maybe it's not for you, I'm not sure. So I can tell you now that in my stocks and shares ISA I've got £638. So my current earnings from that is actually £63, which is actually 10% of what I've got in my stocks and shares ISA. So I've made £63 just from putting it on this app. I could have saved that money in a savings account and made no money, but actually I've made £63 just from putting that money into this stocks and shares ISA. And because it does it incrementally, like month by month, it only takes a little bit, you really don't notice it taking it out of your account. And then all of a sudden you look on your app and you've got £600 in there, you're like, where's this money come from? Like, it's such a good way of saving money, and you're really investing your money in the right places. So when it comes to investing, it actually just does it all for you. What you can basically do is set the risk level that you want your stocks and shares ISA to be at. So you've got like low risk, which gets you a low return. You've got medium risk, which gets you a medium return, and then you've got high risk, which gets you a high return. But obviously it's called risk for a reason, and it does mean that if the company that the app decides to invest you in goes bust, then you don't get a return on your money, and you could actually lose some of your money. So this is why stocks and shares is important to actually understand, because it's not just put your money, get a return, because you could actually lose some of your money. So that is always really important to remember. But I have set mine at medium risk, and it's working really, really well for me. And it's important to know that stocks and shares is really a long game. You can't just put your money in and expect to get £60 straight away. I've probably had the app for 9 months, and I've got £60 over that 9 months. So, and it doesn't sound like a lot if you say it like that, that's not a lot per month, but it's free money. It's free money that they're just giving me because I'm using the app. I mean, that's a winner for me. This is a really, really good way to make sure you don't spend your money, don't really notice it coming out of your bank account, and you're getting a return on your money, which is just amazing. They're the 3 different places that I put my money in terms of savings. So I also set myself short-term goals, like for example, I want to buy a new car, so I need to save £3,000 for that new car. At the moment, I only have about £1,000 towards that new car, and then I have to save the extra £2,000. So what I'm actually doing is putting away about £300 a month for the next 6 to 7 months, and then that should get me to my £200,000 goal. Add that to my 1,000, and then sell my car, which will be about 2.5 grand. Then I've got a fit 500. And then hopefully that will get me a decent enough car that will stand me in good stead for the next few years. And that brings me on to my next point, which is staying within your means. Getting things on finance isn't always necessarily the worst thing in the world if you can afford it. I have my kitchen on finance, for example, as in I got it put in and then I'm paying it off month by month. However, I don't have any interest on my kitchen, so I am paying for the actual value of the kitchen and no more. Some interest is a lot higher than that. So for example, when you see these like adverts from Bright House, is it? Yeah, Bright House. They literally sell you a TV and then they charge you about double the price of that TV in interest. It's ridiculous, it's so bad. So try and avoid high interest items like that. I don't want to get a car on finance, for example, because the finance option on cars is actually really expensive. So the bigger the deposit you put down, the less you pay in interest. It's the same as a mortgage. The video that I spoke about how to buy a house in the UK, I actually talk about this a lot more in terms of you having to pay interest if you don't have a big enough deposit. It's exactly the same for a car, it's exactly the same for a TV. So actually that's the point. We have our TV on a scheme that's called Buy Now, Pay Later. And actually we bought it I think in November, and then it's 9 months, you don't have to pay anything, and then after the 9 months you have to start paying interest and then start paying off the TV. But what we're doing is paying it off before the 9 months ends. So that way we don't pay any interest. So at the moment we're paying £100 a month, I think, between us, so 50 quid each. I think it might be less than that, I'll have to check my spreadsheets. But basically, as soon as we pay that off, we will not have had to pay any interest whatsoever. We just pay what the TV is worth. But, for example, say you have £500 and you want to buy a car. What are you going to get? You're going to get a Ford Ka, because you can afford that, or you're going to get a Audi A1 on finance and then end up having to pay for that car 3 times as much as it's actually worth. No. Know where your budget is, know what you can actually afford. Stop with this keeping up with the Joneses, we all have to have everything brand spanking new. No, you don't. Live within your means, and just, that's life. I mean, if you don't want to get into debt, that is the way to live your life. Get things that you can afford. Don't be buying things that you can't afford. Don't get a really expensive phone. Don't get a really expensive laptop. If you can afford it, then amazing. If you can't afford what you want, then you save for it, and you might not get it this month. You might not get it next month. You might have to wait 6 months, but you'll get it in the end, and then you will have actually bought it with your own money, and trust me, that feels so much better. So basically, they are my tips for saving, how I like to manage sort of my money and what I do. I'm not saying, I'm not like a financial advisor or anything like that. I am not saying that this is like the best way, the only way to do things, but this is how I do it with minimal risk. And actually, I still have a really good, fun life where I go out and I do things and buy things, and I don't have to worry about not having fun and not having a good time just because I'm saving money. But at the end of the day, if I can't afford to do something, I won't do it. Sometimes we slip up, I get it. Sometimes we just want to treat ourselves. Sometimes we want to have a crazy night out and we just go mental, and this month's savings is not happening. And don't ever feel guilty about doing that. Like, everyone has their weaknesses. Trust me, I have. We're not always going to be perfect, and that's just life. Like, I'm totally fine with that. If I see a bargain, if I see like a piece of furniture that's a bargain, and I know that it's not going to be there next month, I'm going to have to buy it that month. Like, we all have our weaknesses, and for me, homeware is that weakness. Like, I can't help myself. But The following month, I know that I will not be spending much. This month, I have not spent much, and that is just because I know that I went a bit crazy in December. Like, that's just life. It's all about balance, it's all about compromise, and that is just it's just how I live my life, that's all.
Hi guys, please excuse the state of me. I just wanted to come on because I totally forgot to record an outro to this video. I'm just editing it now, so I just wanted to come on just to remind you guys to give this a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more videos about sort of budgeting, money, property, that kind of stuff. And if not, then please do still subscribe, because I will be doing lots of videos in the near future about cleaning, house, interior and lifestyle stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that. But for now, I will see you later. Bye.